Do you think Dwayne Johnson still has like a non-loss clause in his contract for Black Adam?
Mm,
Because at least now that he's dealing with superpowered beings, like he could plausibly be beaten up. Because of course, in real life, he couldn't be beaten up by anyone.
yeah, I think maybe in the Black Adam, if he goes against Shazam, I think for the sake of the story, he'll get beat up, or he'll do the thing where like, oh, we have to team up and we have to fight them together or something like, and he'll just become a good guy. I don't
Yeah,
fucking know. It's just yeah. I don't.
Fast
I
and
think he'll have a no
Furious.
loss.
Fast and Furious must be so difficult to write because it can't have stakes because none of them can lose fights thanks to their contracts.
Yeah, there was a fight that was so evenly matched. It was funny. In Fast Five, Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson fight each other,
Right.
and they roll about fighting each other, and no one loses. Like no
Yeah.
one loses. It's very much a
And
draw.
they hate each other in real life as
Yeah,
well.
they hate each other in real life. There's also
Yeah.
a really funny scene, I think, in Fast Six, or I can't remember if it's Fast Five or Fast Six, where they're standing and the perspective's really weird that makes them look the same size, even though they're blatantly not the same size. So they've shot it so they're standing like one of them's here and one of them's here. Where sorry, where's the camera? So they're just shot like that, so they look the same size, but in
Right.
reality they're just standing like they're standing like
Yeah.
really far away from each other. So they look the same size. They're using like forced perspective to make them look the same size. It's
Yeah.
really strange.
It's so weird that people have that because it comes across as like they have low self-esteem. They're
Well, sometimes it's
self-conscious.
the studio to make them look like, and also like to make them look like more action hero-y, I guess. Like
It's
Tom
like
Cruise always wears like stilts. Tom Cruise basically walks about in stilts, and so does Robert Downey Jr. They will all wear high heels when they're on
yeah,
set. So
it's like what Al Pacino's character explains in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, how they make the star of one network look really bad on their network
yeah,
to up their stars. It's a really good film. I feel like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood doesn't get enough credit for how
it's
like
brilliant. It's my favorite
clever
Tarantino
it
movie,
is.
hands
Yeah,
down. It's my favorite Tarantino movie.
it's basically Tarantino being like, "This is how Hollywood worked," and we could have just watched it a bunch in our film course,
Yeah,
and that would have taught
I
us
would have
everything.
learned the exact same amount of, like, maybe even more. We would have learned probably a
Yeah,
little bit more than the 4 years.
because what you got: The Rock, Vin Diesel, Statham, Godzilla. It's the only reason he
Yep.
won in that film. Uh, he was an absolute diva on set.
That's very true. Godzilla was he was the guy that he saw Elton John's rider and thought I have to have a room full of flowers, and
Yeah,
Godzilla's very big, so that was like an entire rainforest. That was they were cutting down trees, everything to fill that room full of flowers. Wasn't happy.
yeah.
It was ridiculous.
He's also a huge racist. So over the past week, Emily Blunt has come out and said that she doesn't want to be in a superhero film per se, and that she and John Krasinski have not been approached by Marvel to play Reed and Susan Richards. Um, and we were delighted at this fact because it's bad casting.
It's also blatantly obvious that they
Yeah.
wouldn't have been approached yet.
So this is The Guardian. According to Blunt herself, she's not even been approached for the role, despite rumors that she and the actor husband John Krasinski are in line to portray Storm and husband Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. Not even rumors,
Just fan casting
just fan casting.
that's snowballing into incredible sizes, and it's just ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, but in an interview with Howard Stern this week, the actor also made it clear that she has never been particularly enthusiastic about superhero movies, having previously turned down the role of Black Widow. Um, blah blah blah. It's not that it's beneath me. I loved Iron Man and I wanted to work with Robert Downey Jr., she told the radio host. It would have been amazing, but I don't know if superheroes are for me. They're not up my alley. I think it's been exhausted. We are inundated. It's not that it's the only movie. It's not that it's only the movies. It's all the TV shows as well. So she doesn't seem interested. So no Susan Storm for us.
It's also a bit
No,
rude I always feel like it's a bit rude because there are other films. There's other you're not inundated with it. Like it's not the only you're not being strapped down to watch it. Do you know what I mean? No one's forcing you to watch these movies as well, which
No.
is like always I feel about that. It's like, oh, there's just so many of them. It's like no one's forcing you to watch them. Like go and watch another movie. It's fine.
Yeah. Who would you cast as the Fantastic Four?
Did someone say Anna de Armas? Because I was like, yeah, I'll have Anna de Armas. If that's is that you? Was it you? Yes.
Yeah. Well,
I
it's
was- I was
probably
like,
been
I'll
said
have-
a bunch. I feel like
it has been said a couple of times, but yeah, I was like, oh yeah, Anna de Armas. Sure, go
Yeah.
for that. Good idea.
yeah, we have.
You've got loads of ideas for the Fantastic Four though. You're like,
I changed constantly, but I've stuck on John David Washington as Reed Richards. He'd be fantastic.
That's a great choice.
Anna de Armas as Susan Storm. Dylan O'Brien as Human Torch.
Yep.
I feel like a lot of people are going for Dacre Montgomery now. And yeah, that's correct. But I feel like we're sort of he's getting older, and Johnny Storm really needs to be someone who's comes across as young. And Dylan
O'Brien's not aged for the last 10 years.
Yeah,
he's just
because Johnny Storm and Peter Parker have to have a sort of friendship if they want to be in line with the comic or certain comic books. And then who was the guy? Alan Richman, is that his name?
I don't know who that is in general.
Alan Richman.
I don't know.
He is he hasn't done much. Richson. He was the what's it called? The on-set, what's it called when somebody's on set for a CGI character?
Oh, he's like the model. He's on set.
Yeah,
model guy. Yeah, the guy
he
who
was
wears the
that.
suit.
Yeah, he was that person for Raphael in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle films.
Okay.
Who I think was then voiced by Johnny Knoxville. He hasn't done. Oh, in Legends of Tomorrow, he's in that. He is one of the bird people, I think.
And he does voice work, so he would sound like the right. Or is this just for on set? Are you just casting the guy that's going to wear the suit?
He is young Scully as Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's a person who's already like physically fit and big and sort of like butch. So if he became, and he looks, if you see him, he looks like sort of the Thing, and you'd see him all rocky.
A practical thing. Let's do a practical one.
I'll put him here.
Okay.
For people,
I think you should do a practical effect. The Thing this time. I think we should have.
Dear God, no.
Rocked up.
We've already had practical effects.
Well, do it again.
We've had it technically twice in different representations or portrayals of the Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah, the original Fantastic
Four.
The good one. Was I forgot about that.
The CGI model of the Thing in Fan Four Stick was the best thing about that film because it was really good. Yeah,
I had it as my profile picture on Facebook for ages for some reason because I was like, this is a great designed thing. I love this thing, and then the movie was shit, and I was like, oh, this is really sad because I really like the Thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then every time I cast someone as Doctor Doom, they get cast as a different person in MCU. I wanted Oscar Isaac to be Doctor Doom. Adam Driver.
He wouldn't do it.
Probably not, but I just, I'd like him to. There's
he got that Star Wars paycheck to raise his exposure, and now he's just going to do little indie films that everyone's going to like. So leave him be.
Yeah, he likes
Can't let him do
weird stuff. Franchise. Yeah, fantastic. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Four Eyes and the Giant podcast. I am Jordy Steele, a solid 6, and I am here with number 10 Howning Street himself, Cameron Howe. How are you doing? It's a lot of hows.
You've not done that for a while, actually. The how are you doing?
I've not.
Joke.
Cameron, how are you doing?
It's good. I'm good. I'm very well. He said, lying. I'm okay. I'm on lots of cocodamol. We're all good. Let's just get this done.
Having been through multiple medical procedures this week, he's sitting down to do a film podcast. Fantastic. Let's just jump into it. As Philip DeFranco says, let's just jump into it. Cinemas are back, everyone. This week, yes, when this is returning, they'll be back.
Today. They'll be back today. They're back
on
right
the
now.
day that this releases. They will be back. Fantastic. It's been so long. I've become. I'm fully convinced that I have desensitized myself to cinemas, and that going back to IMAX will be a difficult time for me, because I don't know if I told you this, but I think a couple of weeks ago, I went home for my dad's birthday, and I went home the night before, and we watched Black Panther, and it was my first time in ages watching a film at my family home with our home cinema set up and surround sound and incredible speakers. And I was like, Jesus Christ, this is loud. And the quality was so like clean, and I was like, oh my God. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go back to every time the IMAX is being introduced, from a pin drop to the jumbo jet. I'm gonna have to be like,
you're fucking shit yourself when that jet engine roars over the top of you. You're gonna be like, yeah,
not gonna have a good time. So yeah, we thought we'd just discuss films that are sort of coming out, and do like a sort of special, I guess, a special weekly watch list segment about films that are coming out in cinemas, that you can exclusively see in cinemas, or not exclusively, but also, so our main boy Cineworld is opening 2 days after everyone else. Do you know why?
Just because they want to be different, I think. I don't know. Is there a reason? Have you got a reason, or are you just asking?
No, I was asking if you knew.
I don't know why.
Yes, Odeon is opening on the 17th, and so is View on the 17th. If you go to Odeon, if your local cinema is the Odeon, you might be able to see Nomadland, the Oscar-winning film starring Frances McDormand, the Oscar-winning actress, directed by Chloe Zhao, the Oscar-winning director, and cinematographed by the person that I cannot remember. But did they win the Oscar? No.
I don't remember.
I'm sorry. I don't remember. You can also see Sound of Metal.
That'll be good.
The editing Oscar-winning film, along with a Q&A afterwards.
That'll be good in the cinema. 100% that'll be good in the cinema. Like,
yeah.
Imagine that sound. Those opening moments, and you'll shit yourself if you can't deal with the sound of the bloody, like, Black Panther, the beginning heavy metal sequence and the sound of music. You're gonna be like,
I know, but I really want to. And it wouldn't be shown in like IMAX, but I'd go see it in IMAX. You can also go see Minari, the Oscar nominated film that won fuck all.
Yeah. Despite you putting money on it.
Despite me putting money on Steven Yeun, because everyone was like, he's gonna win. Never go for the person that everyone thinks is gonna win. You can also go see Godzilla versus Kong.
But not in 3D, which disappointed me a lot. I know a lot of people don't like 3D, but I wanted to see the monkeys come right at me at 3D, you know?
Yeah. You can also see Tom and Jerry, another film that has come out previously on video on demand. And Mortal Kombat, another film that I don't want to talk about. You can also see the eagerly anticipated Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway.
Now that's the film I think we should really be talking about for next year. We never mentioned it in the Oscar 2020.
Yeah, in the Oscar nominee, yeah.
But I think we really should be talking about James Corden, because I think for the first time ever, voice acting nomination, I think that's going to come through, and I could even see him taking it home. I could see him taking it home, Jordi.
Right, for the entire award season, clean sweep.
Yep, just clean sweep it. Golden Globes that might or might not still be happening. God knows anymore. Critics' Choice Awards, Independent Spirit. I'm imagining it's an indie movie. I don't know for sure. Maybe it is an indie movie. Maybe it's not.
Donald Gleason's in it, so it's got to be.
Exactly. There you go. Then all the film festivals that'll clean up every single critic circle. We're talking
Yeah.
everything: Grammys,
Uh,
Emmys, Tonys.
Emmys. Yeah, and obviously have Patrick Stewart present all of his awards that he gets.
They get on now. So it's fine. But
do they? Okay, because that clip is very awkward to watch.
It's so horrible.
Especially with like James Corden's strange reputation. How like there's so many people who are like, oh, he's great, and then other people are like, nah, he's a twat.
Massive diva, yeah.
Yeah. Also opening on the 17th, you got View. If your local cinema is View, you can see films such as Godzilla vs. Kong, Peter Rabbit 2, Mortal Kombat, Tom and Jerry. You can also see Spiral from the Book of Saw.
Odeon don't have Spiral, which is something that really interested me. They just don't have a deal with Lionsgate right now for some reason. I think it must be to do with the window or something, because most cinemas right now are shortening their window to 45 days or less. Because, and then I think they're trying to negotiate new deals with the distributors to get better cuts and stuff like that. And I think that might be one of the ones that slipped through the cracks for Odeon. But everyone else, Cineworld and View and most independents have Spiral Book of Saw opening on that day. So I don't know what's going on with Odeon, but I'm trying to watch the Saw movies to get to see that. I'll have to probably see it the week after it opens. I won't be able to get to the cinema next week. But yeah, I don't think you've got any interest in seeing that movie, have you? Spiral?
Not really. No. I mean, I haven't seen any Saw films. I haven't seen any of the Saw films.
I've seen the first two. I've not managed to get through the other ones, but I'm interested because I like Chris Rock apparently this is like a passion project for him, and Sam Jackson's in it. So
yeah,
which good cast for a Saw film.
Yeah, and as I'm like the previous examples of comedians coming in and doing horror films have gone over very well. You've got Jordan Peele, obviously, who's now like the horror master of this generation. You've also got Danny McBride coming in and doing Halloween. It's
That's
great.
such a random Danny McBride doing Halloween. It's always something I can't wrap my head around whatsoever. It just doesn't make sense, but yet it made so much sense.
Yeah. You can also see Those Who Wish Me Dead, the new film starring Angelina Jolie. It's a HBO Max original that's being shown in cinemas.
No, it's a Warner Brothers movie. It's one of the HBO Max Warner Brothers films. It's one of the day and date ones, which is all right. I watched it 2 days ago now, and it's like worse than Wind River, nowhere near Sicario. Obviously, it's Taylor Sheridan who wrote Sicario, directed Wind River.
Oh right, okay.
Did he direct Sicario 2? I can't remember if he directed or just wrote Sicario 2. But it's more on par with Sicario 2, which tells you a lot, to be fair. And it's Angelina Jolie's a smoke jumper, like she just a big firefighter that jumps out of a plane sometimes, and she meets a boy who's witnessed a murder and tries to protect him from being hunted down by these two people. One of them played by Nicholas Hoult, and the other one played by that guy you'll know the face of, but don't know the name of. You know that guy. I don't know.
Very
his name.
descriptive.
It really upset. Yeah, it's weird, but it's an alright movie. It's like bargain bucket material for next year. You'll get a 99p DVD of it very soon.
Jon Bernthal?
No, the other guy. There's two of them. There's two. Jon Bernthal is one of the ones helping protect the kid. There's two.
Oh, Aidan Gillen.
That's it. Yep.
Littlefinger from Game of Thrones.
Yep.
Yes.
That'll be
the
him.
Show that you love.
I love it.
And I've seen every episode. You can also watch Judas and the Black Messiah, starring Oscar-winning
Daniel Kaluuya, who was very
Daniel
drunk.
Kaluuya, that's it. Was he drunk?
Very, very. Or was he high?
Or was he high? Who knows? Also, Lakeith Stanfield was also nominated for supporting actor for some reason. You could also see at View, this is very interesting, you could also see The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Yep.
Taxi Driver.
The Little Things.
Wonder Woman 1984, which one of these things is not like the other. Gladiator and Total Recall. It's The fact that they're doing Lord of the Rings is cool. And Taxi Driver. I think that's what other cinemas should have done. They should have got classic films in that people would want to see in cinemas.
The Cineworld lineup is so boring this time round. I've not got a clue what they're
We'll
thinking.
get to that.
They've not even tried. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
But yeah, that's those. So you can, if your local cinema is a view, you can also see some lovely classics.
Is Gladiator showing consistently? Because I've not seen Gladiator before, and I'd quite like to watch Gladiator in a cinema.
I do.
Or do you know if it's showing consistently?
I don't know.
I just
know that it's showing on day one. Yeah, okay. On day one. I know. I think for Lord of the Rings, they're doing each one every week, so you can go see one this week and then 2 next week. Right, yeah. So 2 days later, Cineworld 19th is opening. On that day, you can see Spiral, Peter Rabbit 2, Those Who Wish Me Dead, Tom and Jerry, Mortal Kombat, and then because we talked about those 2 days later, you can see Godzilla versus Kong. My New York Year. Do you know what that's about?
It's Margaret Qualley and Sigourney Weaver. I don't know what it's about. I just know the names, and I wanted to see it based on the fact I like Margaret Qualley. But I don't know anything else.
Yeah, and then week after, on 28th, you can see Cruella and Conjuring 3, and then afterwards, and then the week after, or 5 days after, I think.
Quiet Place.
My math is wrong. A Quiet Place 2. Not much being shown at Cineworld.
No, the Cruella tickets came out today, and I was looking at them. I was like, should I just try and see everything else? You forgot to mention The Unholy, which was one it's just a Sony Pictures horror movie. Who gives a shit?
Nobody cares.
The issue is there's nothing out until the big hitters start coming out. Like Cruella are probably one of the ones that'll be quite big, I'd imagine. Even though you can buy it on Disney Plus, but no one's paying the £20 to buy it on Disney Plus if you can see it once for £6. So yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It's like the only mainstream film that hasn't been released yet.
Yeah,
it's so odd. And like I was thinking, they'll bring forward like No Time to Die.
No, they'll keep everything where it is because they need to have big runs with the marketing. These are films, right? They're coming out now. The films that are coming out now are films that have had the marketing run already consistently throughout because they were going to originally go day and date, or they're going day and date alongside a cinema release. And so you've got A Quiet Place, which has already had basically all of its marketing done a year ago and can't really spend more money on marketing. So they've had to just do that, which is not great. So, but that's A Quiet Place 2 is probably the only one that I'm really excited about out of that lineup. Cruella looks good, and if the social reactions that came out a couple of days ago seem to be quite good as well.
Yes.
So that was something.
Award talk for Emma Stone.
That is premature.
Yes. Luckily, also the Suicide Squad has been brought forward a bit. So
for us, that was only because of HBO Max stuff, though, I'd imagine. So that's still really good. July 30th, I believe. So it's not even far away, which is exciting. It's going to be a great summer. If I can actually move for work and I can actually space out the times I don't have to go to work, because oh my god, the amount of work times I'm working this week, unreal. I will be living my life at a cinema, which will be exciting.
Yes, if you can make it.
I can make it.
If your illnesses don't stop you.
My ball cancer goes away.
Yeah, so those are all the films that you can go see at the cinema in the UK. I don't know.
Obviously.
I wasn't going to do
cinemas in America have been open
every
forever.
episode. Every cinema. I really wish they hadn't opened now. I'm gonna keep saying I'm going to be very negative and say it's a bit of a shit release schedule.
Especially with all the movies we've got coming up, it's going to take so long for them to start trickling out properly. And if we get locked down again, or if America surges, we're screwed. You know what I mean? If America goes downhill, we're going downhill. But they seem to be okay now. They seem to be sort of all right. We're sort of all right.
Yeah, they're mostly vaccinated, aren't they? Like 4/5 vaccinated. Did you hear about this Krispy Kreme thing that was going on in America?
What, you got a Krispy Kreme if you got vaccinated?
Yes, and also if you didn't.
Oh.
So, so Krispy Kreme were offering every American that got vaccinated a free original glazed donut for a year, every day. You could go get your card thing. Technically, you could get more than one because they didn't check your card because it has personal details on, so it'll be illegal to like take any information from that. But they also were like, for people choosing not to be vaccinated, on Mondays, you can come to a Krispy Kreme and grab a free original glazed donut and a free coffee. And
Why are you rewarding them? Don't reward them.
Not even the people that got vaccinated could get a coffee. So they're technically getting more stuff.
You just
Only
have to
on
pretend
Mondays,
on
though.
Mondays, I'm not vaccinated. You come in every day, it's like, yes, I'm vaccinated. Can I get my free donut, please? And then you have to go on a Monday, you go, like my coffee,
Not
please.
vaccinated. Yeah. They're very much playing both sides. It's very odd and quite hilarious.
Pick a side, morons.
Everybody, welcome to the weekly Watchlist segment. This is a segment we do every week where we talk about films that released last week and we talk about films that are going to release next week.
But Jordi, we already did that.
For cinemas only. Cameron, what have you seen in the past week?
In the past week, I watched. I tried to watch a film called Oxygen.
Right.
And I watched about an hour of it because I started watching it at a time where I was in immense pain, and I was like, I tried to watch it, and I was just like, I can't do it, and then I didn't realize it was French when I started it because the dub was actually like, for some reason, you know, when you can trick your brain into thinking like the mouth is moving at the right speed for them to speak English, then you realized that it was a dub because I clicked up and it said French original. So for some reason it launched it into the dub, but I didn't care because I was on my phone anyway because I wasn't really bothered about it by that point because it was such a boring film. It's basically just a claustrophobic thriller. She's stuck inside a cryogenic tank, and she's trying to figure out how she got in there and why she's in there, and then get saved basically. And that's as far as I got. I don't know why she was in there or care why she was in there at this point. I just want to forget about ever watching it. And that's not to say it's a bad film. I just don't ever want to finish it. What else did I watch? I watched The Woman in the Window. That's good. Until the last half an hour, in which it goes completely crazy. It's a new Amy Adams film that Fox sold to Netflix, instead of just putting on Disney Plus for some reason. I don't know why they were stupid, but hey, what are you gonna do? It's about a woman. It's basically just a Rear Window, but it's Rear Window meets The Father.
Yes.
So it's about a woman with agoraphobia who doesn't leave the house. She sits and spies on her neighbors and stuff, and she witnesses a murder. Or does she? And that's the thing. And it's like very much like what's real, what's not real. It's very over stylized in some ways, in some respects, in that the way that it's done is just very over the top in a lot of situations. And it's very jarring a lot of the time. Amy Adams is really good in it. I think Johnny Flynn's in it. I think it's Johnny Flynn that's in it. I think we were having a tasty debrief for most of the film, which was nice to see. Or it was a man that looked like Johnny Flynn, in which case I'm an idiot.
Right.
But yeah, it was okay until the last half an hour, in which it goes too over the top and too strange, and you're just sort of sitting there like, oh, and everyone just sort of overacts, and it's very much, it ends in a way that's unsatisfying and boring, I guess. I also forgot to mention Gary Oldman, who's just there to kind of chew the scenery. It's quite amusing that Gary Oldman just sort of shows up and is like rah, 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 in his best possible Gary Oldman over the top stuff.
It's not Johnny Flynn.
Is it not Johnny Flynn? Who is it?
No, it's Anthony Mackie.
Funny one.
No, it's you're either talking about a man called Fred Hedginger or
the guy,
Wyatt
the blonde
Russell.
Guy, Wyatt Russell. That's who it is. It was Wyatt Russell. I don't know why Wyatt Russell and Johnny Flynn get mixed up in my head. It was the hair. It was the hair for some reason. I don't know what it was. It's the blonde beard.
Okay.
It's the blonde beard. I thought it was Johnny Flynn, but hey. Johnny
Okay.
Flynn just stays in my mind. I want to bring him back to Cineworld. We forgot to mention him when we talked about cinemas returning. The real man who could come and save cinemas is Johnny Flynn. Yeah, I don't think I watched anything else, though. It's been quite a quiet week. I've been wanting to play Mass Effect and failing because every time I try to play, I'm either I have to have been pulled away to go and do work of some description. I have a very busy schedule, even though I completely have nothing on my schedule. I seem to have a very busy schedule all the time.
Hmm.
Or I am in immense pain and I can't focus on playing, so I just go to sleep. So it's. I really want to play Mass Effect. I really want to get the free platinums because the new Legendary Collection came out, and they're the best games of all time, Jordy. They're the best games of all time. They are. It's the best trilogy in gaming.
I
Fight me.
disagree because I haven't played them, so they must not be
You should
that
play them.
good.
Once I've finished, I will lend you the bloody disc and you can play them because they're very good.
This week I was on binging boy duties. I watched so much TV.
You really did.
Most Yeah. So started off this week with Castlevania season 4 that came out on last Thursday. The final season of the Netflix original anime based on the popular game series. It continues the story of Trevor Belmont, Alucard, the vampire, son of Dracula, half vampire, half man, and the Vampire Council, and all this stuff that is from, and Saint Germain, voiced by Bill Nye, not Bill Nye, Bill Nye. It's such a good anime, and it's such a good show, and I think you'd like it. It had a slow start, but halfway through the season, it sort of just clicks into gear, and there's a lot of like battles that begin, and sort of like the last half of the show is a series of battles, and it's like a big climax, and it gets very emotional, and there's just a lot of great animation done, um, and yeah, great voice acting from Richard Armitage and Bill Nye, and just loads of people. Malcolm McDowell's in it.
I didn't expect Bill Nye to be in an anime. That was my least
It's
expected thing of the year.
it's a really weird voice to continuously realize that it's Bill Nye. Be like, why is he doing this show? Like, I understood, like, in the last season, his character was sort of, he came in at the very last minute. So it was sort of like a cameo almost voice. But Nye is in
Yeah.
it like all the time this season. And he's great. He's fantastic. Very British. So is Malcolm McDowell and Richard Armitage. Yeah. I then watched episode 3 of The Bad Batch.
So did
You
I, actually.
you didn't like this one. You haven't
No,
liked the
it
last
just
two, have you?
I didn't mind episode 2. In fact, in comparison to this one, episode 2 was a masterpiece. This was just
Right.
it was just like filler again. It was just very much
But is it
it was
filler?
very much Mando stops. It's very much the same as episode 2 of Mando season 2, in which Mando stops to fight spiders, sort of thing. It's just very much like, all right, what have we learned? I'm liking the stuff on Camino. I'm liking the
Right.
interesting history about the clone troopers turning into stormtroopers and then the switch over to conscription instead of
Hmm.
using clones. I'm enjoying the sort of like history on that because we've not really got a canon history of how that all
No.
switched about yet. So that's interesting to see. I'm glad they're exploring that, and I'm enjoying that stuff. But the stuff with the actual Bad Batch, well, me and my brother both went, "Is that it?" When the credits rolled, we were like, "What is that?" Because it was like 20 minutes of just I don't know, just nothing.
But don't you see, Cameron? The first episode was to reintroduce the Bad Batch and introduce Omega as the character.
Omega.
And then the second episode was to develop the relationship between the Bad Batch and Omega, and explain why she's hanging out with these dangerous men and not with like a
Yes,
nice family.
I
And
got
then
that, Jordy.
this episode was to introduce like the Imperial characters that we might see for the rest of the show and
Yes.
develop Crosshair.
Okay, I got that because that was the bit that area was the most interesting bit. But what became the B plot with the Bad Batch just felt so unnecessary. I guess
There was a
I get the Omega
direct
bedroom bit, but it was very much like okay, yeah,
it was a direct reference to Empire Strikes Back. I think.
okay.
Yeah. Yes. That's the one where they land, and then there's the winged thing that clamps onto the window, isn't it?
That's the one with the land in the mouth of something.
Yes.
Yes.
And he's like, I got a bad feeling about this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I enjoyed it because I could see its point and its premise. I then watched over the course of Friday and Saturday, The Underground Railroad, which is Amazon Prime's new TV show. It is directed by Barry Jenkins and it is based on the 2016 novel by Colson Whitehead. Underground Railroad tells the story of Cora and Caesar, two slaves in the southeastern United States during the 19th century, who make a bid for freedom from their Georgia plantation by following the Underground Railroad. In real life, a network of abolitionists' hidden roots in safe houses that helped enslaved African Americans escape to freedom in the early mid-1800s. In the book and series depicted as an actual railroad complete with engineers, conductors, tracks, and tunnels, in addition to a series of safe houses and secret routes. The show is head written by Jahan Crowther of Man in the High Castle and Here and Now, and James Laxton returns to the role of cinematographer, having previously shot Jenkins's previous films, Moonlight and If Beale Streets Could Talk. This show is very Barry Jenkinsy. He loves having his sort of portrait, sudden cuts to the portraits of the characters staring into camera, and there's multiple shots of where things will be happening, and then there will be music and it will cut to the scene that we're in, but like all the characters looking at the camera, and sort of like a slow sort of pan across all the characters and the tableau of characters. And it is you'd think like, oh, that's very out of place, but it does feel he's done a very good job of making it fit with the emotion of the scene. It is hard to watch at times, but that's because although it is fiction and has fantastical elements, it is one of the most accurate depiction of what these people went through. I've written that down. I assume I'm going to say, because I wasn't there, obviously.
Were you not?
And that's no, but that is why it's so important for us to watch other pieces of media on the subject. In an interview with Empire, Barry Jenkins said it was important for some of the more savage moments of this story to make it on screen because it's stuff that isn't usually allowed to make it into the films or TV shows. There are moments where you can't help but be outraged at the events that take place, at the true portrayal of the visceral brutality of our reality. And there are like Red Wedding level shocks in this scene where you'll think everything's all right, and then the fucking white man comes along and ruins everything.
I watched the first 5 minutes of it and I was like, I think I'll wait until I can actually sit down to watch this, because that was an intense 5 minutes for sure. I mean,
yes,
something was getting buried. It was very much like, okay,
there was a placenta.
Maybe not the best thing to go to from watching a Disney, like what I think I watched like the Maggie Simpson Star Wars short just before I watched it, and then I went straight to that, and I was like, this is some whiplash and a half. I think I'll maybe wait a little bit before I get to it.
Yeah, in the first episode there are 2 whippings, and one of them involves it's so like real, and you can like it's not just a couple of lashes across the back that we usually see in we've seen in films like Django, and I haven't actually seen 12 Years a Slave. I want to now after having watched this show, but like
you told a lecturer you'd seen 12 Years a Slave, have you not? Because I'm pretty sure we went to a seminar in which we were supposed to watch 12 Years a Slave.
Oh yes. But yes, you see a man's skin get like shredded due to a whipping, and he's still alive, and then they set him on fire. So yes, it's a very brutal show. If you're not ready for that, check your privileges and watch it anyway.
Maybe also if you're triggered by that kind of shit, maybe steer clear.
Yes.
But every single episode opens with I'm pretty sure every single episode opens with this program contains graphic violence of like, because
the last episode.
No, the first episode does as well. I turned
the
first
also
episode and it said
All right, okay.
Watch out for graphic.
I only
violence.
really noticed it in the final episode, and that must be because the final episode also included a whipping. So that's probably why.
I think it must be at the beginning of the episode, but if you binge them, I think it must have done the skip intro thing where it was like, well, you already know, so
yes,
it's like, yeah.
possibly yes. This show is 10 episodes long, and most of them are about an hour long. And then there's an episode, I think episode 7 is like 20 minutes, and it's a very short episode. So if you're watching this show,
you sent me a screenshot of that, and I was like, "Oh, they're only 20 minutes long. I'll watch all of this then, because this seems like a really easy watch if it's only 20 minutes long." And then I got there, and I was like, "Wait, this episode's an hour and 10 minutes long. What are you on about?" And then we obviously just had a very breakdown of communication because I was like, "Yes."
Even though previously on Friday I was like, "I'm not going to finish the 10 hours that this series is," and you were like, "Nah, probably not," and then forgot about that instantly.
Like most things.
Yeah, but this show is some of the best TV I've seen in terms of acting, writing, and direction and cinematography. And we always joke about If Beale Street Could Talk being a beautiful film because there's not much else to say about it. It's just a really beautiful film, and his work continues onto this, and it's fantastic. And I'd say I haven't seen It's a Sin. I really want to, but I'd say this is possibly the best TV series, a limited series of the year.
I need to watch It's a Sin. My mum can tell you though, It's a Sin is amazing. So
yes, I really need to watch that. But yes, that's all I've watched this week, I believe. I don't remember.
I also I rewatched Promising Young Woman. I was on every movie ranked.
Oh yes,
that's a podcast on the Angry Microwave. If you want to go check those fellas out. And I watched Bad Trip for that, and the prank. I was like, I wasn't too keen on it. It's not, prank movies aren't usually my thing, but it was funny. Some of the stuff was funny, and like Eric Andre, so and also knowing the fact that they actually tell them afterwards that it's a prank, because I always feel a bit iffy on some, like, especially the new YouTube era of pranks where they just sort of like prank the person and then fuck off. Yeah, they just abuse people without telling them. Whereas you in the credits of Bad Trip, they were like, "Hey, it's just a prank. Hey, we're fine. It's all good." And it's like, oh, right, like, thank God, it's put my mind to rest that you've not just abused these people and then left with like major trauma.
It's Eric Andre doing Borat, isn't it? Essentially,
pretty much, yeah.
But because it's Eric Andre and he's not doing a character, he sort of has to save face of like his public image. So yeah.
It's nice. It's a good film, and then also Promising Young Woman again, which I enjoyed the same amount as I did when I watched it the first time. So yeah, fun times. It's all right.
I watched Another Round starring Mads Mikkelsen. It won for Best Foreign Film. It's a great film, and the last final moments of it are amazing. And I won't spoil what it is. I also watched School of Rock because it came to Netflix. Really good film. I watched Boy. Is it Taika Waititi's first film? His first proper film though.
It's his first bigger film. He did Eagle versus Shark before, and then Boy was the bigger. Boy was the one after that.
I've seen Eagle versus Shark, but I hadn't seen Boy. Finally saw Boy. Great film.
Good film. Yep.
Yes. I watched The King of Comedy, the Martin Scorsese film, which Joker stole
by Todd Phillips.
I've now seen the bester parts of Joker by watching Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. I read a bunch about it, and Scorsese always says some stuff like he regrets making the film, which I think is just him sort of trying to get a reputation around it so people will watch it. But it's a fine film. It's a great portrayal of over obsessed fans, and how sometimes they go too far. And yeah, it's a great film. Great. What's the word? Oh my God, performance by Robert De Niro. Yeah, good film. I then watched Zero Dark.
Sorry, I was just going to say, King of Comedy is my favorite. Like, I think it is one of my favorites at least. I'm trying to figure out what the other 80s movie that he did was, but there was a great one he did in the 80s. What was it? After Hours. There's a King of Comedy and After Hours are two great
Right.
Scorsese movies from the 80s that are really good. After Hours, I don't know if that's on anything here, but I watched it on like Vudu in America. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're good. Scorsese, I need to there's more films I need to watch his, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah. He's an enigma because I really want to watch like Raging Bull and other films like that, because every time I watch a classic Scorsese film, I'm like, this is a really good film. But I'm never like driven to watch his films for some reason.
That's what I had to sit down and go, well, I'm going to this month in January of 2019, I'm going to watch every single Scorsese movie, and I just about did it. I got to I think I got to Age of Innocence and then had to stop because I'd ran out. I couldn't get the movies or something.
Right.
So I have like Aviator and Age of Innocence to watch, which I now own because I bought the movie Blu-rays at the time. But yeah, After Hours was one that stood out to me because no one ever talks about After Hours. It's kind of like Good Time in a way, but from the 80s. It's really really good. Yeah, but King of Comedy is my fave. I think Raging Bull and stuff's a bit overrated. So is Goodfellas. But hey, maybe it's just because there's so many Goodfella clones that I'm just sort of like, you're like, oh, I've seen this movie so many times.
I've also not seen The Departed.
That's fine.
You know, gonna anger a lot of people.
I'm gonna anger everybody.
I also then watched Zero Dark 30. Catherine Bigelow. I'm not getting that wrong, am I?
I don't think I've seen that film. I feel like I've seen that film.
There are so many people in this film that I'm like, he's in it, and then he's in it.
John Barrowman. I didn't even know John Barrowman was in that film. That was like a surprise
for
to
like
me.
One scene, and I'm like, there's so it's so great performance by Jessica
Chastain.
That's the one. Yeah, and then it's if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a classic. Again, trigger warning. A lot of torture.
Yep.
Yes. And that's all I saw this week.
It's
moving on to next week's releases. On Monday 17th, obviously all the cinemas are opening, so you can see Those Who Wish Me Dead, Spiral, and Peter Rabbit 2 in cinemas. And then on Friday 21st, Netflix is releasing Army of the Dead, Zack Snyder's new army film, starring Dave Bautista. Maybe this one will be good. He seems very excited. He's come out over the last week though, being like talking about the production of Zack Snyder's Justice League and how they were on his ass throughout the reshoots or not reshoots.
He's over it. He's now got Justice League out. He doesn't have a shit anymore. He's gonna smack.
He doesn't care
till the end of time. Yeah,
but he's all up on Army of the Dead, and it's not a sequel to his Dawn of the Dead. It's not in the same universe. It's just the title, I guess, is a reference to George Romero's stuff.
And Batista's also being a bit of a weirdo this week as well on the Army of the Dead press tour. I don't know what's got into the water on that Army of the Dead press tour, but they've all been a bit, I don't know.
He's smack talking how the MCU has portrayed Drax.
And James Gunn's just sitting there like, I'm sorry, what the fuck? Like he's like James Gunn's been nothing but nice to him. Every time he tweets something out, James Gunn's going like, no, we love you, Batista, we love you, like Dave, what's going on, man?
Yeah.
Just chill out. And, it's
gonna make filming it awkward when they begin production of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. He's Olivia Rodriguezing himself. I'll say it. And then on Sunday 23rd, Master of None Season 3 comes out. Have you watched any of Master of None yet?
Yes, I've seen both seasons of Master of None. Can't remember it because it was so long ago.
I rewatched it a couple months ago. Fantastic.
All right. It's really good. Then Aziz Ansari sort of fucked himself over. Yeah,
he got cancelled and then sort of came back. And he did a stand-up and he talked about it, and it was directed by Spike Jonze. But Master of None, we got a trailer for, I believe it was a trailer for the first episode, and it focuses on his lesbian friend, I've forgotten her name. She wrote Queen
Queen
and
and
Slim. But yes, it might be the entire season, but it seems like the focus is off Aziz Ansari, who will be just a sort of supporting character now. But yes, and it's boxed.
Wasn't the first episodes of season 2 different to the rest of season 2 though? So it might be like that, where the first episode is always a bit different to the rest of the season, or is
First
all of
episode of
season 2
season
in
2, I
black and
believe, was
white?
black and white. No, I
Yeah.
don't think it was all in black and white. But yeah, the great thing about Master of None is that they make every episode feel like an art house indie film.
Mhm.
There's another one, I think, in season 2, there's an episode called I Love New York, I think, and it is one of the best pieces of television.
New York is like a character
I'll
in
say it.
the film. New York, it was like
Yes,
a
but
character in the movie.
it's an episode where it focuses on different stories of just people living in New York, and I love it, and I'm so excited for this new season.
It was the
I thought
edgy
it was
film bros' favorite TV show. It was the like in 2000.
right.
I remember it vividly. Film Twitter 2017. Like every edgy film bro like on Twitter was like, "Oh, Master of None. Aziz Ansari is a genius," and it was just very much like. So I don't know how much it'll hold up now in my jaded eyes of just like I can't be fucked with life anymore view.
It's yeah, it's in a unique sort of category in shows with like Master of None and Atlanta, where they are sort of like auteurship art house television. I would suggest putting Dave in there, but I know it's not as highly regarded as Atlanta
Jordi, I don't
or
think
Master
Dave
of
is an
None.
auteur masterpiece.
But yeah, those shows are brilliant, and they are my shit.
My shit.
My shit. Yeah, that's all that's coming up. I've probably forgotten something, but
I don't think you have. I don't think there is anything. Next week is really quiet.
there's always one thing that I forget. Like last week, we forgot about the Amanda Seyfried film that everyone's seen and obviously knows what I'm referencing.
I don't.
It's a film called like Those Things That Are Seen or something.
Next week I'll have watched Kid Detective because I need to remember to watch that tonight. Otherwise, it will expire very soon.
Oh yes, watch that. Things Heard and Seen. I knew it was a Netflix film.
Is it on that? I always love Netflix because they do such a great job of advertising their movies. You always know when a movie's coming. They always just it's always so great.
A lot of focus was on Oxygen
for some reason.
Yeah, and also this week, Love, Death and Robots came out, but we haven't been able to see any episodes because I've been watching too much Barry Jenkins, and I sort of need to take a break. Because maybe don't watch it all at once. Although it's so good, and it's sort of, I guess,
if you watch on the soul.
If you don't watch all at once, I'd hate to lose any of the emotional weight that it brings to you. But yes, space out your viewings, maybe.
Does it play like a 10-hour film though? Like if you watch it together as like a 10-hour piece, would it play like a film, or is it more like more episodic?
So basically the plot almost is like Cora is going to different every episode is a different stop on the Underground Railroad, and it so it ends, every episode ends with her getting back on the Underground Railroad, which is, it's really cool because even though in this world the railroad is like a literal subterranean system, it still acts as a metaphor for like the journey of the African American in search of peace and safety. And yeah, like at one point, when Cora she thinks she finds like home and serenity in a Black vineyard community, and she gets confused and frustrated as to why the railroad continues, because she's like, this should be it for me, but sort of the railroad continuing is sort of a foreshadowing of her journey continuing. And it's so good, and I can talk about it for ages. Um, and I really hope people don't sleep on this show. It is a show that next year will be winning like awards, I'm sure. Barry
I hope
Jenkins,
so.
definitely.
It sounds very awardy.
Yeah, and I cannot wait for the Lion King prequel.
That'll be next.
Yeah,
I think. Isn't it next? It must be next.
that's his next project. Yeah. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. This has been Four Eyes on the Giant. You can find us on Twitter at Four Eyes Giant or at Ohio Films, also on ohighfilms.com. I have been Jordi Steele. You can find me at Real Jordi Steele on Twitter. Cameron, where can they find you?
You can find me at CamzoOG on Twitter and twitch.tv/CamzoOG, Camzo_OG, where I should be streaming more often. But now that I work every day of my life, I doubt I'm ever going to stream again at this point. So it's sad times. I'm going to have to try and carve up. I streamed once this week and then I got ill and then I couldn't stream anymore because it was too. It's just timing never works out. I hate myself and I hate my body. What else do I do? I do 35-minute movies. With Oasis, our fan. We do a lovely podcast where we're going through all of Vin Diesel's filmography and just rank and review. And last week was Fast and 5 and Fat Furious 6. Next week coming is Riddick and Guardians of the Galaxy. So we're doing fun times.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's me. That's all I do. So you can find me at work.
Don't tell them where you are. That's all from us this week. Hope you have a lovely day, lovely week. Hope you have time to maybe go to the cinema to see something you like. If not, give it a few weeks.
Something will come.
Yeah, and hopefully the world won't end again. Goodbye.
Bye.